Let's start with some truisms here this morning. Just share some ideas that may have the power to take us a little deeper into a basic understanding of what you might call the nature of the human predicament. How do we create the kinds of lives we experience, and what can we do to change that experience if it seems advisable? But let me begin with this. If you hit a man over the head with a fish, he'll have a headache for a day. If you teach a man to hit himself over the head with a fish, he'll have a headache for the rest of his life. Many of us have been taught to hit ourselves over the head with a fish, would you say? And we have headaches in the metaphorical sense of creating all kinds of interesting stuff going on in the mind that does not promote the kind of peace and serenity that we were created in the image and likeness. Talk so much about this process of awakening in kind of generalized terms. I find it helpful to get myself grounded back again once in a while. What's it mean? We talk about using spiritually informed thinking. Yeah. Okay, it sounds pretty good, right? But what exactly does that mean? What's it look like? And so, you remember we've done, I've done a series of talks here on one occasion we called the Blue Mood Makers. Remember that? Where we talked about the 10 wacky ways we can use our mind to create impressions of reality that are going to be absolutely impossible to stay even remotely mellow with. And the kind of thinking, it's the uninformed thinking, that leads us into lots of self-imposed suffering. Sufferings like all of the ones that I read up there, but mostly it's suffering about anxiety and resentments. That's two of the big ones. How many of you have become incredibly adept at creating anxiety? Oh, which is a nice way to talk about fear, unadulterated fear. And how does that work? One wise guy once suggested that to have anxiety, you've got to have time and a mind. There's got to be time and a mind. And that's so true. Fritz Perls called anxiety a gap. It exists in a gap between now and then. And that gap is filled up with unskillful use of mind. Let me check we better get out of here. I'm getting anxious. This goes quick. Listen to it. Anxiety is a result of reaching out into the future and filling it up with some imaginary notion of an event that challenges your sense of how you want it to be in your life. Typically, anxiety is around the welfare. That's a major place. And trust me, I know this because I got a 17-year-old daughter that just started driving a few months ago. And I can create a lot of anxiety over that. And how do I do that? I sit at home, not knowing where she is or what's going on in her life at any point in time, and she's not home on time. So what do? I go to screenwriting school. I start to create a Midsummer Night's Anxiety Attack, produced by Chad, written by Chad, directed by Chad, starring Chad. That's what I do. I kill her about 400 different ways. So, anxiety then is the result of slipping into the future with your mind, creating some kind of a situation that you're absolutely certain you're going to have to deal with, even though it's just an absolute fantasy. But here's the problem. Your emotional nature has no rational capability. It simply responds to what's going across the screen of awareness that you're in agreement with, or that you haven't denied the reality of. And so you can create that picture, and if there's nobody home saying that's nonsense, of course, you don't have any idea what's really going on in life. So be mindful of that one. Jesus covered this all in the most telling writing on the now. Staying in the now, there's never any anxiety in the now. Right here, it's the now. And now, it's the now. And now, it's the now. And now, it's the now. Breath by breath, the now unfolds and reveals to us its own intent, its own content, which is what Jesus was telling us when he said, take ye therefore no thought for when? Tomorrow. Take ye therefore no thought for the morrow. Why not? Because the morrow shall take thought of the things of itself. When it gets here, for God's sakes, deal with it. Until then, you don't have a clue what kind of, authentic response it's going to require, because it's not here. It's a fantasy. But if we could remove fantasy from our thinking, boy, then where goes anxiety? Out the window. So we got that covered? No more anxiety. I would expect you would all walk out of here and never again create a moment of anxiety. Or if you did, you would say to yourself after just a few anxious moments, oh, there I go again, taking thought for the morrow. That's nonsense. When it gets here, it's going to reveal itself to me fully and completely. I won't have to guess about it. It's just real. So, we said? No anxiety. Never anymore. Good. No anxiety. Some of you have been here before. How many can feel it starting to creep in? That's what's happening. If we tell ourselves the truth about this moment, what is the truth? Yeah. A bearded man is blowing up a balloon. Oh my God, it's terrible. Oh, how frightening. So, what's frightening about it? The now, the blowing up moment? Or we slip just a little bit into the future when the son of a gun does what? It bursts. And then what happens? Every one of us is born with the startle response for a couple of things. One is loud sounds, loud noises. You take a little baby, just born, and you make a loud sound, and they'll startle response. If you remove the support from them like that, they'll have a startle response. And that's about the only thing we fear when we were born. The rest of it we learned to be afraid of. So you've got that thing going, loud sound. Oh, that's a... But, my God, how many of us have been waiting for balloons to break our whole lives and never quite get to that point of bursting? We're ready. That's that turtle syndrome. Okay. You walk around. Balloon. Remember the balloon when you're out on the street next week, okay? So there I go again, breaking the balloon before it's time. Will it break if I continue to blow on it? Absolutely. And Amy's getting ready. She's got fingers in her ears. That would work. So watch out. Watch out for that. Because when it breaks, what will you do? You go, oh. In the business, they call that the startle response. You have a startle response. You go, oh, Chad, that's not good. And you're in and out in 30 seconds. You've got it handled. It's done. It's behind you. How many of you have carried things around waiting for that balloon to break for days and weeks and months and years? Yeah, well, if the balloon breaks, have your startle response. It's finished. You're out of here. But in the meantime, solve no problem before it's time, okay? Say that to yourselves now. I will not solve any problem before it's time. I will take no thought for the morrow. I'll remember it. Keep my thinking dedicated to right here and right now. Love you guys. Thank you so much for playing. All right.